The deed has been done by Justice Omotosho against Nnamdi Kanu. Yesterday, so much happened right there in the court, just as it happened in the United States Congress. As a matter of fact, the US congressman had to prop up the issue of Nnamdi Kanu, stating that in Nigeria, that there is a common act of injustice against voice of reason. So many people in Nigeria do not disagree with about 70% of what Nnamdi Kanu says. Oh yes, because about 80% of Nigerians today, right from the middle belt into south, really want Nigeria to be restructured, to be either peacefully disintegrated, state police, they want seaport in the southeast, decentralization of the police system. I mean, basically, everything that Nnamdi Kanu says surrounds around this objective and goals. But what people do not, in most cases, agree with is violent rhetorics. But pushing that aside, now that Nnamdi Kanu has been convicted to spend the rest of his life in prison, like I said yesterday, that the Nigerian contraption is where we will always see a conflict or this animosity between the Yorubas and the Igbos. Okay? Because right now the narrative is a Yoruba has condemned the Igbo hero. No. Because the Igbos and the Yorubas cannot do with them without themselves. If you take a look at our industries, if you take a look at our marital life, if you take a look at our business culture, we are too intertwined, all right? But on the politics side, this is where the problem lies. The US have called on Tinubu that you could have given so many people clemency. It is up to you. Because the US congressman is saying that we must stop pumping funds into countries that will continue to maintain impunity on the voice of reason. If I start counting people that have been sent into jail because what they simply ask for is justice, the likes of Ken Saro-Wiwa, Herbert Macaulay, name it. I mean, these were the people that were incarcerated for simply saying that you cannot continue to reap us, exploit us, and at the end of the day, you stretch towards the end shot of the stick. That's happened. These are the cries of Nnamdi Kanu. Can Tinubu then go ahead to take the next action? Yes, so many of us have said for Nnamdi Kanu to have gone out of that case, I mean, it would be a miracle. Because the Nigerian government, in one way or the other, they want to dent his image. And this is why you see why Justice Omotosho yesterday, he was so angry, saying that you insulted me, you do this, in fact, the way you were slapping security, he just took it personal. But that has been done. The deed has been done. The next step is for Tinubu to step up. Yes, because indeed, if you take a look at the strict restrictions they give Nnamdi Kanu in that judgment of yesterday, okay? I don't want to call it a shambolic, but it seems like a shambolic judgment. The restrictions attached to it is Nnamdi Kanu should be confined in a solitary where only him will be there. He won't have access to mobile. He won't have access to his family. Anytime he wants to talk to his family, Nuhu Rubadu was there. Can you imagine? Nuhu Rubadu. So anytime Nnamdi Kanu says, I want to talk to my wife, maybe he has the right to talk to his wife once or twice a week. That means Nuhu Rubadu must ensure he is in connection to that court. Those are the conditions. They said this man cannot go to Kuje prison because the prison break that happens in Kuje prison will put Nnamdi Kanu on a threat. Imagine, A federal jail that they said is one of the highest jail in the land. There's a prison break. I love Nigeria. Yes, till this very day, Kuje was broken by Fulani terrorists, where about, is it 50 of them escaped? Before the attack happened in Kuje, we all know what happened. So those that were on guard, they left. About 50 to 60% of them left. And those guys came in, carried out their operation without any form of hindrance, no altercation, like the smoothest jailbreak ever under the Buhari's administration shortly before he left. Till this very day, those insurgents, those terrorists have not been captured. And they say, hey, Nnamdi Kanu, Kuje, you should not go. That now, imagine if they could have taken blood-thirsting, blood-sucking demons into Kuje where they could break free. But Nnamdi Kanu, his own, before Nnamdi Kanu can have access, he must impute a password on the door. Boom, 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 boom. Nnamdi Kanu represents the goose that lays the golden egg. Yes, that's what he represents. And for me, I know that in a matter of maximum 1 year, this issue of Nnamdi Kanu will be revisited. I can guarantee you that. I know. Currently, what we have is just a political gymnastic. Just a political gymnastic. They are stressing our brain, making us to feel that, okay, you as anybody that wants to come out in the Southeast, you want to agitate, yeah, you want to talk about Biafra, woe betide you, this thing that has happened to the greatest orator that you guys have had since Ojukwu, Nnamdi Kanu, you will face it. I mean, they are using it as a precursor to the Igbo people, and of course to the South, as it were. That's what they are doing. That you want to call for secession, call for this. They said they are not against self-determination, but they are not in support of how Nnamdi Kanu went about it. And I think there's a lesson to learn as well. I mean, we cannot all be hypocritical. We cannot be self-deceiving that everything Nnamdi Kanu did is right. No, he didn't do everything right, actually. One of the mistakes Nnamdi Kanu did is, if you take a look at the influence Nnamdi Kanu has, if he had converted that influence, I mean, Nnamdi Kanu is an educated person, right? Good. If he had converted into political influence, whereby it doesn't necessarily have to have a political party, but it can have a movement. It can have a political movement. Okay? It can have it something similar to, I don't want to compare it to Obedient movement because those ones are spineless, but it can have a movement, specifically a regional movement, just as we had the Buhari movement, we had the so many movements. You can have it like Southeastern Rescue Movement, whereby on every election matters, he will direct the minds of the people. Yes, and these are the right way to go for your self-determination. The reason why the Yorubas have not been, I've actually not had this issue of Sunday Igboho taking up arms and people supporting him as seriously or aggressively, is because there are some other movements and some other groups in the Yoruba land that stood against Sunday Igboho. They said, Sunday Igboho, you cannot turn this mission for rescue into suicide mission for the Yorubas. And yes, at this moment, the mistake has been made. The judgment has been passed. Tinubu has no other choice than to take a look at this case, because the United States are on this matter. Absolutely, the United States will not stop talking about Nnamdi Kanu, because the Nigerian government has done a lot to allow themselves to be put under the bus. The Nigerian judiciary system is under the radar. The same judiciary in Nigeria of Nigerian system sent a confirmed Nnamdi Kanu's own are still, I mean, you cannot say there's 100 concrete evidence that this man is a terrorist. Yes, you can speculate. He pushed agenda, incited people. But how is it possible that incitement will attract a more grievous punishment than a man who was a direct and active leader in when I mean armed terrorism act, a man that you caught in the act, a man that there are records that he has fired nothing less than 1,000 human beings. Haba, he got 20 years. So Tinubu has no other choice. He will take a look at the matter. And I know that Tinubu will want to do this also for political gains. I dare say that Tinubu will want to take a look at this matter, that how can I benefit if I grant maybe clemency or I reduce Nnamdi Kanu's sentence to maybe 6 years, and then they take him for rehabilitation. I mean, these are the things they can do. If you take a look at that clemency list, there was a young lady there who unalived her husband. Just on a mere argument. She unalived her husband. She stabbed him to death. Okay? On allegations that he is a cheat and the woman is hot-tempered, she stabbed the guy to death. However, that woman, she has a political connection because her mother is a political heavyweight in Abuja. Tinubu granted her some form of clemency, that they should take her for rehabilitation, and maybe in the next 3 years they should consider if she's okay now, she's fit to reintegrate back to their society. I am telling you that Nnamdi Kanu will get to that point. They will have, unless of course Nnamdi Kanu now go ahead and say, I reject the clemency, I want to rot in jail. Unless of course. But one thing I know is it will certainly get to that point where Tinubu will take a look at Nnamdi Kanu and say, how do I use this guy for my political gain? Of course. And I know that Tinubu will not waste that opportunity. He wouldn't. Because this is the same man that saw the chaos in the north. He knew that his soft targets were the Middle Belt and Christians. And we saw how he started pumping appointments, started allocating resources to the Middle Belt, right from Benue Plateau into Kogi. That place that Tinubu has seen as a fertile ground for his next election is where the Fulani Janjaweed are now attacking. If you take a look at the last 4 months to 6 months, where has most of the attacks been happening? The Middle Belt. Plateau, Benue, Kogi, Kwara, just that central position of the country. Now, KB, very close to the Middle Belt, Southern Kaduna. So the intentions are clear. When that political pressure begins to happen, Tinubu will look at it that, okay, in addition to my Middle Belters, what do I do next? Southeast. How can I get their sympathy? Because after all, the Nigerian, the Biafrans, the Southeasterners will not say that it was Tinubu that sentenced Nnamdi Kanu. And even if they want to say it, at the same time, they will not say that Tinubu should not release Nnamdi Kanu. True is what? Yes, his power of clemency. Because Tinubu can release Nnamdi Kanu, okay, I hereby forgive you, but go and sin no more. Do not agitate. If you agitate, your sentence will be death by hanging. You're released. If you want to seek for self-determination, go through the right way. I mean, Tinubu can, listen, he can literally do that. He will just say, okay, all the charges against you, we reduce it to just 3 years, or we reduce it to just 1 year. You go to rehabilitation. He can decide, or release it now and let him be released with immediate effect. Tinubu can do this, nothing, and nothing anybody will do. The only person that can stop that is Nnamdi Kanu. If Nnamdi Kanu say, I don't want to be released, I want to stay here. And I don't think there's anybody that will want freedom. I mean, that I don't think there's any human being that will reject freedom. I don't think there is. I mean, after all, is that not why we had the free Nnamdi Kanu protest? Is that not why Nnamdi Kanu kept on shouting at Omotosho, you can't sentence me? Is that not why he kept shouting, you don't know the law, you can't sentence me? It's just a matter of time. The Igbos should understand that the Yorubas, if you look at it on the larger perspective, yes, we might have some animosity, but for me, I've always said that that animosity, we should learn to convert it to an healthy competition. But again, what breeds the animosity is because of the contraption. Yes, because when the two are fight, there's always one entity that will come and benefit off. If we were together, if we were just southern Nigeria, or we were in our own separate ways in terms of region, I know that purely when you maybe you outcompete me, you are the one taking the glory, not some Janjaweeds. So I will know that the next time I outmatch you, I will take the glory solely. But the problem is, Yorubas are being used by the Fulanis to, to hurt, to spite the Igbos. During the period of 1999 to 2007, 2014, the Igbos are hurting the Yorubas to what? For the benefit of the North. That was the argument. So, in a game, it should be between two people, not three. So, the point is, because Nigeria is not ideological, because Nigeria does not have the right political system, because if Nigeria had a two-party system, the North and South, whatever, it's either you're in Democrat or you're in Republican. It's either you are in a Kinikon for the Islamic Republic or you are in the Christian. So we will know if we were just two-part political parties, the argument will be easily, contained. It will simply be okay. And the Republicans are against the Southern because we will have considerable amount of people. All right. Or if we have been divided in terms of our religious line, we look at South. Okay, in the South, we have predominantly Christians, and then we have some Muslims also. In the North, we have predominantly Muslims, and then we have the Christians. It will be a single battle, like just two parties. But in Nigeria, because of the multiplicity of problems, of challenges, of parties involved, there's always this animosity that how can you leave me for this person? Because we see ourselves to be so close that the Yorubas and the Igbos, we are too close. So when the North come and they are able to jam the two heads together, boom, then it seems the Yorubas are with the Igbos, with the Hausas. The Igbos will be angry. Look at them, betrayers. Look at them. They say they are educated. When the table shifts now, and the Igbos now get into the federal political arena, because the Northerners will always be there. For as long as I'm aware, since the 1950s, they have always been there. They've been able to, to camouflage themselves. I don't know how they do it, but they are very slimy and slippery. Like catfish, they just find a way, they enter. Today now, this issue of Nnamdi Kanu, if Tinubu does not handle it carefully, the animosity will widen, and you see the Igbos will abstain from the Yorubas politically, and the North will just come. Now be the shop plug. When that animosity gets down, or maybe when the southern part of Nigeria now decide, okay, let us return back to it. They also look for another crisis wherein they will have a fight. The North will now look, okay, the Yorubas are hungry. Let us go and meet the Igbo. The Igbos, after all, they are desperate. Let us see what we can give them. Then they support. That constant state of confusion is why we as a Nigeria, we are always having this argument. And for me, I've always said it. Nigeria needs to be restructured. Everything Nnamdi Kanu said is not 100% wrong. For me, on my own judgment, about 70% of all the things he said, I agree with. I might not agree with his violent actions and violent rhetorics, but most of his goals and objectives and demands are obtainable. And by all standards, it is what we should have as a nation. We can't be saying that we are over 60 something years and we are still operating like a zoo. We must be structured. We must have decentralized system of governance. Governance must get to the what? To the last mile. And this is why we must have local police, state police. If all these things were there, Nnamdi Kanu would not have to go and create instant security network. He wouldn't have to be clamoring for Fulani elders not to come into our farms. These are the clamors and shout and whatever. Thank you for joining me. Kindly like, subscribe, and share. Bye for now.